the largest pre-Incan site in South America and 3 times older than Machu Picchu. Now that's impressive. So why aren't there more people here? I'm in northern Peru exploring its remote archaeological and natural wonders.
Waterfall so close, this is amazing!
This week we're in the highlands of Peru, 1,000 kilometers from the capital Lima. It's a region that's still relatively untouched by the hordes of tourists you'll find in other parts of the continent. I'm in the north of the country in a town called Chachapoyas, or Chacha as the locals here call it, over 1,000 kilometers from Lima. And this is my starting point to get to one of the most incredible but lesser known archaeological sites in all of the Americas. The isolated ruins of an ancient civilization, the remains of some 400 homes perched high on a hill. This is KUELAP, an architectural and historical wonder on the cliffs of Peru's northern Andes.
KUELAP was rediscovered in 1843 and was full of forest.
It was built by the Chachapoyans, who lived here centuries before their famous Inca cousins conquered the region.
The Chachapoya people was a culture that has developed in the northeast Andes from Peru. The Chachapoya people, or the cloud warriors, yes, was considered like that because the Chachapoya people always live on the top of the mountain.
Building started here 1,500 years ago, and for the next 1,000 years, the site was expanded, making it one of the largest stone cities in South America. At their peak, there were 500,000 Chachapoyas people living in the northern hills of Peru. I'm just fascinated by these perfectly round houses here. Apparently, they used 30% less building material than your traditional square or oblong house, and they're more resilient in an earthquake. Pretty clever if you ask me. The walls surrounding the structure are 20 meters high, like a fortress.
This is one of the most important entrances. KUELAP was an amazing building because it was built on the top of the mountain, 3,000 meters above sea level.
Yeah, why did they build so high?
This was a strategic place that Chachapoyas people, this was a sacred environment.
But as the Chachapoyans left no written records, very little is yet known about them or the types of lives they led. But one thing we do know is that they had elaborate burial rituals.
More or less 200 mummies were found in the lake, on the shores of the Lake of the Condors, more or less 20 years ago.
These mummified remains were discovered by farmers and are now carefully stored in the Lema Bamba Museum.
Farmers open a new clearing, a new field, and they discover a new site. And there are thousands of sites, undiscovered sites in this area. So they discover a site and they think about making money. When they find mummies, they try to sell them. So most of the funeral sites we know are looted already. So this is an exception.
Look at the babies, so small. These mummies, I know they look terrified, don't they? But apparently they were put in this position after they were dead so that you could bundle them and store them and transport them to be buried in the cliffs. The people that lived here went to great pains to preserve the remains of their ancestors, embalming them to hide them on cliff faces. It was their way of keeping their memories and identity alive. And archaeologists are making new discoveries almost every week.
Everything is new. All these archaeological sites, I would say the 90% of the archaeological sites we know locally are not officially registered. It's an unknown area. Very few governmental institutions are investing money in investigation or in restoration. So maybe through tourism there will be more funding to do more investigation.
Despite the fascinating history, it's still a region relatively unknown to tourists, and that's mainly due to the remoteness. What a view! So we're in Tingo right now, which is where most travellers will start their journey to KUELAP, which is just on the other side of that huge mountain there. Now for me to get there, I'd be trekking for about half a day, or I'd be stuck in a car for a couple of hours. But now there are new developments that could change all that. The town of Chachapoyas will benefit from the expansion of a nearby airport that will take direct flights from the Peruvian capital Lima, making the whole area more accessible. And this multi-million-pound cable car is due for completion by the end of the year. Jose Luis, how will this cable car transform the travel experience?
This is the first cable car in Peru. This cable car will be transform this region, this economy, these people, because now in 20 minutes we will be to KUELAP. Now it's 2 hours, it's long. Now there are 40,000 visitors, but in the future is 100,000 people.
It's eerie to be able to explore such a historic site virtually on my own. So few people come here. The crowd-pulling Machu Picchu receives more than 1 million visitors a year. So many people, in fact, that they've had to introduce quotas to limit the number of people going there. Do you think more and more tourists will have an effect on the environment here, that it could be destroyed in parts?
Could be, could damage. Could damage, but if we control honestly really good, and so like that we need to care this important monument and to preserve for the other generation as well.
And although KUELAP may lose some of its tranquility, it's hoped that one day it will be as celebrated as Peru's other famous ruins.
It's very important for us that more tourists or more people learn about our culture. No, it's because in Peru it's not only Machu Picchu, it's not only Inca. The Incas were amazing, yes, of course, but the foundation were the pre-Incas people.
And finally this week, I'm in the tiny town of Quispe, just north of Chachapoyas in northern Peru, and we're about to head to the jungle to discover one of the area's best kept secrets. Tucked away in the eastern Andes, Quispe didn't feature on the tourist map until fairly recently. But a few kilometers away lies a spectacular discovery that has changed all that. Hidden in these rainforests are some of the tallest waterfalls in the world.
Yo acá he nacido en el distrito de Quispe. Yo tengo 61 años y de joven no venía a esta zona porque mis padres contaban que acá habían muchas águilas y hasta ahora existen. Y las águilas le cogían los niños de 10 años y les llevaban a comer en las alturas. Y los tenían quizás como una leyenda para nosotros. Pero ahora ya no, más bien este sendero se ha visto que es un sitio, un páramo y un bosque tan elegante que la verdad es demasiado emocionante.
Let's go, friend.
Vamos. The only way to get close to the waterfalls is on foot.
The Douglas Ecological Paradise.
The door to ecological paradise. Wow. My guide shows me the way. I believe you. So we've been walking for more than an hour, so I'm not surprised that not many people have heard of this place. But I can hear water, so we must be close.
This is waterfall Medio Cerro.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
And we're going to walk underneath it?
Yes.
Okay.
This way.
This is just one of some 30 waterfalls concentrated in this valley. They were recognized internationally in 2005 after a German explorer stumbled across them. Since then, the local guides have invested their time to make the trail accessible to tourists, moving heavy rocks to create hiking trails. But the main attraction here is YUMBILLA waterfall. At a whopping 895 meters, it's the 5th tallest in the world. Wow, this is beautiful. Hola! And people are now seeing that this is the perfect backdrop for something more challenging than hiking, like extreme sports. This team is setting up the first professional venture here.
El turismo de aventura aquí en Amazonas tiene un alto potencial para desarrollarse. Si bien es cierto, el canyoning o el barranquismo es un deporte nuevo que está entrando aquí al Perú. Aquí hay mucho potencial para poder desarrollar, hay muchos deportistas y sobre todo la región Amazonas se presta mucho para que puedan hacer este tipo de deportes.
YUMBILLA is split into 4 almost sheer drops, and I'm going to try and abseil down the bottom section with a lot of help. So this is where it starts. I'm going to rappel down here, down this little waterfall, about 10 or 12 meters into a pool, and then from there we'll abseil down the rest of the waterfall, which is about a 70-meter drop. And I'm one of the first people to do this. Before we can start, the team must meticulously anchor a system of ropes into the rock face. Then it's my turn to prepare. Never that glamorous getting into a wetsuit, but I'll be glad of it. This water looks cold. I'm attached to a harness and instructed on the safety apparatus that will allow me to control my descent.
That releases
Con su peso se va a deslizar.
with your weight. Your legs parallel 90 degrees better. Hold it but lean backwards.
Taking off is terrifying. I put my feet against the wall and slowly inch down to the pool. It's hard to stay up with the constant pressure of the water pushing me backwards. And I'm told this is the easy part.
Okay.
We reach the tiny ledge overlooking the last 70 meters and prepare for our descent.
That is huge. Oh my god, it's amazing! Okay, here we go. Waterfall's so close. This is amazing.
So far, so good. But halfway down, I'm in for a shock.
It's slightly unnerving that we're going to lose the rock now. We're going to go into free fall. Okay, I can do this. Yeah, this is good.
Without the rock face, I'm literally hanging.
It's hard work on my hands. Basically, this rope is holding my body weight. I'm having to release the rope to get me down.
This way of coming down is faster and scarier than before, but a lot more exciting. We reached the last part of the descent, and I'm so relieved to finally get to the bottom.
I know it's crazy. I didn't expect quite so much water. Oh, that was amazing. What a rush.
Yeah.
Bye.
And once the cold and the terror disappear, I feel lucky to be one of the few people to have experienced this wilderness while it's still a bit of a secret from the outside world. That was an amazing experience, but I tell you what, I'm glad to be back on solid ground and out of that wetsuit. Well, that's all we've got time for on the program this week. Coming up next week, do join us for that if you can. And don't forget, if you want to follow the rest of the Travel Show team on their travels in real time, you can check out our social media pages. All the details are on your screen now. But until next time, from me, Carmen Roberts, and the rest of the Travel Show team here at YUMBILLA Falls in northern Peru, it's goodbye.